and you're watching the Four Boxes of Liberty show right here on Facebook or YouTube or wherever else you're catching us. Stay tuned. So what's up, guys? Hopefully you guys have had a great week so far. It's Thursday evening, and that means you get a little bit of myself and Tom, and this is the Four Boxes of Liberty show. How's it going, Tom?
Going well. How you doing?
You know what? I can't complain, but honestly, nobody wants to hear it anyway, even if I did have something to complain about, at least in my personal life. We'll get into some complaints later on that we've got that's going on with some of the current events. So today's show, we're going to be rolling out a few new segments with what do we decide? Is it news or views? That's what we decided to call it. Is it news or views? We're going to give you a couple news headlines that some are real and some are not. And Tom is going to get to decide, or at least try to determine what's real and what's not here as we go. We're going to talk a little bit about, I want to call it the Liberty Principle segment that we're going to start working on just to kind of give you guys some things to think about as you go through this, because a lot of things are happening that are a little sideways. It's like, and I don't remember what the word is, Tom, but it's like they want your attention to be over here and they're going to do something else over here. And I can't remember what the word
diversion.
is. Diversion. So anyhow, so we'll talk about diversion tactics. And so yeah, that's going to be it for today. If you have questions, please let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe and bell notification. I guess that's exactly how you do it. And then if you're on Facebook, hit the share button and do us a favor so we get a little bit broader reach. This whole show is meant to be talking about liberty principles. So conservative, liberal, whatever that you want to call it. This is about maintaining our liberties, and that's what this show is all about. So now that we have that all out of the way, how's it going, Tom? What liberty principle are we talking about today?
Well, one of the things been, I work in the firearms industry. For those that don't know me, hopefully at least somebody will be watching this in the future that maybe we'll pull in some new people. So that's on our mind. So I'll explain a little bit. But I work in the firearms industry. I'm a firearms instructor by trade, and I get most of my money though from just working in the gun shop for now. Oh yeah, by the way, the name tonight is in honor of the Democrat debates, Democrat Party debates going on. I figured I'd go with the spirit for the evening. I think this one's only supposed to be 4 hours long.
Only 4.
Debate. That's the third, but I wasn't sure it was a joke or not. But I know they had what, a 12-hour climate talk the other day or something. So I don't put anything past them. But anyways,
but tonight is also the first night that they'll have every candidate on stage at the same time. So then you can really see the festival of ignorance or the circus coming down.
Oh wow. That sounds like Jerry Springer should be hosting that one. But anyways, I work in the firearms industry and in a nonprofit sense as well as profit and all kinds of the political edge on it as well. So what's been a big talk in our community has been the Walmart ban last week when they announced their stuff. Then Kroger's followed suit and a couple other companies I forgot. And then I read something earlier today that said 140 different CEOs have petitioned the Senate because, of course, the Senate's the Republican side. You don't have to petition the House of Representatives to infringe on gun rights, but you need to petition the Senate to do so. So there's a lot of infringing going on out there, and so I kind of wanted to start with that. Concepts of liberty when it comes to that. As a lot of pro-gun side knows, the Second Amendment is the one Well, I saw a Lord of the Rings themed gun shirt recently, and it said one. It said one amendment to protect them all. You know, instead of one ring to bind them all, it was
Yep.
one amendment to protect them all. And I mean, you can look all throughout history. Whenever the people have been armed, it's so more control can be exerted over them. I mean, it's just no other way around it. I hate the mass killings. I hate the evil that's happening out there. However, stopping the natural right of self defense of those that aren't law breaking people won't help anything. So, in any case, so we talked a lot about Walmart. So I'll just say real quick about the thing with Walmart. Walmart is its own entity. I mean, it has its own liberty, and I believe in them having their own liberty to make their decisions. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying the government should come in and crack down on businesses. What I'm saying is we, as liberty-minded people, need to exert pressure on corporate America because the progressive mindset, the progressive mind, does not delineate between society and government. They don't mind having the big heavy hand of government come down on you, and if they can't get that, they'll go with societal pressure to make everyone live the way they want them to live, and that's of course the opposite of liberty. Um,
That's
so
fact.
once again, remember, yeah, we said last week that liberty in general, you can kind of analyze it. Litmus test real quick for it is who decides. Do I get to decide whether or not to carry openly in Walmart? And by the way, I don't carry openly, and I wouldn't advise anybody to do so. But that's not the point. Do I get to decide, or is Walmart deciding? So Walmart has taken that freedom away on their property. That liberty is gone now for me on their property. So I have now exerted my liberty and chosen to go there as little as possible. Um, so I ordered some stuff off Amazon today that I got to wait a couple days for, as opposed to going to Walmart. Now, some people would say, "Hey, Tom, wait a minute. Amazon's already liberal." Yes, but they're not being pushed anywhere. They're not acquiescing to pressure to move that direction. They are still what they've always been. If Walmart had never sold guns or never allowed that, obviously we wouldn't notice, would we? That would just have been what Walmart was. But Walmart is changing. They're acquiescing to that politically correct mindset, so forth. So now, as of yesterday, we've got to segue right in. You've now got President Trump saying that he's going to use the FDA to ban these flavored e-cigarettes and vape devices. And even though I think generally they're kind of stupid, and I think if you're doing vape, you should use that as a step down to get away from all of it. However, a lot of people step down off cigarettes and go straight into vaping, and a lot of our current generation that's just post high school, post high school, and college are all into vaping just for the sake of vaping, never having been smokers. Um, I don't really like it. My son does it, and he knows I don't like it. But it's also, as long as he's using good products. I've done some research back when he very first started, and when I was trying to get my mom to go to it from cigarettes, and some of the vape juice out there is literally natural flavors, water, and vegetable oil. Um, Although inhaling vapor into your lungs inherently is not a natural act, it's way better than inhaling smoke. I mean, that's how people die in house fires is inhaling smoke.
Yeah, from the
Um,
cigarettes. Yep.
I guess
Yep.
people die drowning by inhaling vapor in the form of liquid. Um, so I mean, I guess you could argue almost the same, but vaping is, I forgot what the number of chemicals you inhale into your lungs when you smoke. It's I don't know,
Much.
100 or more. I think I even remember some quotes saying 300 chemicals. I don't really know, but I know it's a lot, and I know we
A
have
bunch.
supposedly, I think it's 240,000 deaths a year attributed to cigarettes, whereas we've had 6 total attributed to vaping. And what I heard exposed today was that the 6 that have died have been using adulterated liquids. So they bought the marijuana liquid, not just normal vape juice.
CBD
They
oil.
bought
Yep.
marijuana liquid. Then they, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I don't know this culture or what they're doing, but then they inserted vitamin E oil into it and adulterated the original product and then died from this. Now, I don't know. I'm not claiming to be an expert here, but I do know that we've had vaping has been around on a serious level for about 8 years.
Yep.
And all of a
Somebody at
sudden,
least
we have
5.
6 deaths. Just all of a sudden, 6 deaths. So, yeah, I tend to think something. And, you know, I saw some memes today that said big tobacco's behind it. Well, I mean, if anything makes sense to me, that does. I'm not big on conspiracies, but that one's what I call ringing true. That just makes sense. Big tobacco is losing. They probably lost $1 trillion or more total to the vaping industry.
Yeah.
And so now they've bought up a lot of the vaping industry, but it's probably not near as profitable as tobacco. So supposedly it's big tobacco behind us. So how much sense does it make for President Trump to get behind banning flavored e-cigs and vaping devices, but yet he doesn't plan on touching cigarettes? Now, I'm not for him touching either. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But here's the principle. To boil this all down, I want to put social pressure on Walmart and companies like them. I do not want the government involved. I want the voices of our dollars to shout out to Walmart that they made a mistake. I mean, I ran into 4 people today that told me they haven't been there in 3 weeks now since they announced it. And these are all people that went there 2-3 times a week. And I know I've started to go there 2 times and then turned around and went somewhere else and bought from different local shops. So,
Yep.
you know, that's a side note. I would advise people at least once, and I plan on doing it more. Put it up on Facebook. When you go to a place other than Walmart, say, hey,
Yep.
look, I got this at such and such, and I didn't have to go to Walmart. You know, and tag them, tag Walmart, tag the local place, check into that local place. So that's one concept of liberty, is we have to use it. You have to use it to you have to, it's like a muscle. You have to use
Yeah.
it. And then, you know, the other one that ties right into this political pressure thing is now we've got to use our soapbox one to tell President Trump, no, you shouldn't be messing with vaping. Everybody's joking, saying Melania must have found a jewel in Barron's sock drawer or something, because all of a sudden this is her cause celeb. So, anyways, so to me, it's all about using our voice, whether it's Walmart or it's Trump. It's a
Yep.
soapbox moment. The soapbox in modern society takes on, you know, money, social media, actually talking to people, doing what me and you are doing right now, hitting
Yep.
share on what we're doing right now. All of that is using that giant echo chamber that the left uses so well. We've got to use it too. And your average conservative by nature is a live and let live. So we tend to get run over like steamrollers because we
Yeah.
don't shout, we don't scream. So we've got to use the soapbox as much as we can on both sides. The war on us culturally, and because here's the deal, I'm all for companies that want to start up and be crazy leftist. Starbucks, right? I don't go to Starbucks simply because, but I didn't change my mind on Starbucks. They were always liberal. I always avoided them.
Yep.
So it's the movement that bothers me. It's Walmart's movement. It's not the practical effects on me, because I've had a lot of people in the gun world say, but Tom, I don't open carry anyways. And I want to say this to conservatives in general, Americans in general, even when they go to the voting booth, quit voting just based on your little tiny life. Damn it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
made me angry for decades. People that will, well, you know, my union told me I'll get a raise if this, or my specific industry will be better, or, you know, vote for liberty. Just vote for liberty. If people want more government power, even if that government power is going to benefit you, vote no. I've never smoked, and I absolutely hate cigarettes. Absolutely hate them. But I voted against the anti-smoking ban here in Ohio, and I even owned a business at the time. I was going to be able to get cigarettes out of my business. Thank God, I was happy about it. But I voted against it because it's not a liberty principle. It's not. I should be able, as a business owner, to make a non-smoking business, or to say, if you want to come in my business, you better have a cigarette in your mouth, dadgummit. That's also liberty. You know,
That's funny.
if I owned a cigar shop and liberty really worked the way it should, I should be able to say, you must buy a cigar and smoke it on the premises if you're going to come in my shop. If I wanted to,
You could.
that's liberty. That's liberty. But instead, we go everything that adds the government to it. We all seem to just swallow as if that's the way it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be us governing ourselves the majority of our life.
Well, some of those things are you know, for some of the people who it may not impact, if you weren't caring to begin with, um, it, take it might be something else the next time, for people who do smoke and, they cut it out of restaurants or whatever because the government mandated it or whatever.
Right.
Now I'm not going to say that I don't like that, because for me, I didn't like going into smoking restaurants and that kind of stuff anyway, but that's me. But most time we
Oh
just
yeah, I hate
avoid,
it.
most time I just avoided those places. So, by going through, it's kind of like, and this is what we're saying pre-show, is that it's almost a backhanded way of taking away your rights. We're not going to come to you directly to take away. We're going to go someplace else, and that's basically what they've done in a lot of other cases. So, for example, when you go and you pay your income tax, you don't pay your income tax. We didn't come to you to pay your income tax. We went to the business and said, "Hey, you're going to take it from them before they see it, and then you're going to give it to us." And then on top of that, if you guys did not know that whenever it comes to Social Security and those kind of things, the business, so on your paycheck where it says that FICA number or whatever, the business actually pays a matching percentage. So if you pay $200 in, the business has to pay $200 for the right to have you as an employee, according to the government. I just wanted to point that out. A lot of people don't know that. But,
Right.
it's, from that standpoint, so with what you're saying is that we do need to use sometimes, maybe more often now than what we used to. We really need to stop saying, "Hey, just let it go and live your life." You need to stop and you need to do something about it. Otherwise, it's going to all be taken away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, there's 140 CEOs petitioning the Senate to enact some levels of gun control, additional gun control. We already have gun control, by the way, for those that don't know the history. Until 1934, there was no federal laws regarding firearms. And then we've had the Firearms Act of 1934, 68, I think 78, 80 something, the 90s. And, for people like me, the things I'm willing to accept infringements on are already in the past.
Yep.
Bump stock ban was not okay with me. Not because I gave a crap about a bump stock. I don't even own one. And I think they're kind of silly. It's because the government doesn't need to infringe anymore. Period. They need to work on the problems, not the tools being used.
Well, I sent you a message earlier today, just talking about that kind of thing. Is that I guess that there'd already been Nashville that had gone through about banning high capacity magazines. And so, do we need to? Of course, if you have if you have high capacity magazines now, the law doesn't affect you. I was like, but should we be investing? Should we go and invest into some high capacity magazines ahead of time, and then we just, you're in a gun shop, you just resell them, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want them, get them now before there's a problem. But that's kind of always true. They're always after them, or they have been since the early 2000s, at least specifically. Joe Biden says we should get rid of. Joe Biden said we should get rid of any magazine that holds more than one bullet. All magazines hold more than one. If you've only got one, you don't need a magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is the difference between a standard magazine and a high capacity? Just for those who may not know.
Whatever the politician decides.
Oh, so well, in your shop, for example, if you're looking at something, I'm assuming they mean high capacity magazines for an AR or something like that. I would assume.
Well, that's usually what they're referring to. But you got to remember, California has its own laws. No semi-automatic handgun can have more than 10 rounds.
Huh.
So, in California, we have California compliant guns, right? So when we get guns shipped from the distributor, normal guns coming to us will have a big label on the side of the box says "not legal in California," which is like a stamp of approval or a badge of honor for us. Not legal in California. That's you do not want to be legal in California. So
that's funny.
So because there you can only have so many capacity in your firearm, but 10 rounds in an AR would be considered by all of the AR world low capacity. So, I can get a 30 round magazine for my AR, which is not even out of the ordinary. That's normal, is a 30 round mag. I can also get 75 round drums and 100 round drums. Now, even by my definition, 75 and 100 would be high capacity.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all relative. It's not an exact word.
Yep.
But you can also buy a 100 round drum for a Glock handgun.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yep, I've seen those.
Two big rolls out the side. Yeah,
they're impressive. They're impressive.
Pretty cool.
Whenever you see them go off, you should. If anybody's interested in that, you should YouTube it for sure, because it's pretty impressive whenever you see it. I actually saw somebody who
cool.
had modified, I think, a 1911 to make it a double barrel 1911, and that's what they had done.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, it's like real thick. Anyway, but that's what he had on that one was drums to feed each thing. And anyway, it was kind of a cool thing.
Yes, if you are interested in high capacity magazines, definitely get them while the getting's good. And by the way, if you look in the top left of your screen, you can get your high capacity magazines at tkarmory.com. Yes, there you go.
It's all backwards. It's all backwards, right there.
Right up there. Yep. So go to tkarmory.com and we'll have all different kinds of magazines there for all different kinds of guns. And you can have it drop shipped straight to your house. Or if you're local and you want to pick it up at the shop and not have to pay shipping, you can do that too. Come in and see us. So
we should turn it. You should bring a couple next week, and we're going to do some spotlights. We're going to do the whole Price is Right kind of like.
I'll be LaVanna White.
That would be funny stuff. Well, guys, if you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for coming and hanging out. Whether you're with us on YouTube or Facebook, make sure that you hit that subscribe notification, hit the bell, or hit the like and share button on Facebook. And we would certainly appreciate that. Helps spread our message a little bit further as we're trying to infiltrate the minds of young people. We call the inception principle, inception liberty. We'll figure out how to do that part of it. That's really what we want to achieve here. If you have questions or anything, if you're watching on YouTube, you won't be able to interact with what we're doing right now, but you will be able to go over to Facebook at facebook.com/ /4 boxes of liberty, I believe is what it is. And facebook.com / /4 boxes of liberty, and you can actually interact with us right there to where we can get you can chat and that kind of stuff. But on YouTube, they don't make that available as of yet. So just kind of pass that along to we always like to take your questions, comments, and kind of feedback off of that thing. But we do appreciate that you're here. So Tom, we're going to try this. We're going to try this next segment. The first time that we're doing it, I'm going to create a little thing here so I know what this is here. Whenever we go back and we create the show notes, and I've got to explain this just a little bit. This is our news reviews section. So last week, and I don't remember what his name was last week. What is his name? What was his name that came up with this?
What are we talking about?
I know what we're talking about. News reviews. That's what it is. Anyway, reviews. Yeah, who was on last week? The
Joe Burgett, my buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Joe had talked to it's not news anymore. It's all about views. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some recent headlines from this week, and we're going to put them in front of Tom, and he's going to have to pick whether they're news, which means they're legitimate and they're real, or they're views. So we thought this would be just a nice little segment to have some fun with. If you have any good news or views headlines, you can always submit them. We'll take a look at them and use it on a future episode. We're going to try to create a couple of these segments, much like what tonight's show or some of those things.
Now let me for the sake of my success or lack thereof here tonight.
Okay.
Now, am I supposed to take the headline and judge it as in it's fake, like Babylon Bee? Or am I supposed to judge it as in it's really not giving a factual headline. It's giving a biased headline.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a headline, and you're going to decide whether or not it is from a real news site or is something that's actually in the news or if it's something that's satirical and made up.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Okay.
some of them will be obvious. So the first one, I'm going to give you a little bit of a I'm going to give you a little bit of a softball here to see what it is. So, and I'm not going to show you, I don't think. I think that I'm just going to, because there's no way that I can block off the website. And obviously the website is the thing that does it. So the first headline, more e-cigs being disguised as AR-15s to avoid ban.
I missed the first couple words.
So more e-cigs being disguised as AR-15s to avoid ban.
Well, I guess we kind of already talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's fake. That's
Yeah, that's fake. So what I'm going to do, hold on, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide this and pop it over so you can see a picture of it. And so more e-cigs being disguised as AR-15s to avoid ban. Anyway,
good grief.
it's a pretty
That's
funny.
Sweet. That's
it's a
funny. Yeah.
pretty funny thing. So
that's funny.
All right. So you're one for one so far. Let's see here. Okay, so next, Florida burglar breaks into home to make breakfast, tells resident go back to sleep.
I believe that's a real news story.
And that would be accurate. Florida man. Breaks into a home to make breakfast, tells resident go back to sleep. I think it's pretty funny myself. So some of these things, that the trick here is trying to find things that are relevant, that are kind of interesting. But we'll continue on here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. AOC proposes tuition-free school for children who can't read good and want to learn to do other stuff good too. Okay,
that's a tough one.
That one may give it away. I might as well go ahead. I'll just give that one away because that one was too good not to. That one was too good not to use. But that is from Babylon Bee. So that is.
But I was torn. I was 51-49 on
that. Well, I'll.
Not.
So that one I'll go ahead and that's a gimme because actually I've got more. I've got more. As we go, I gotta give you some gimmies just for the fun of it. So we're gonna call you 3 for 3. Let's see here. Okay, least masculine society in human history decides masculinity is a growing threat.
That sounds like Northern Europe. That sounds like it's something Northern Europe. I'm going to guess that's true. That's news.
Actually, that's a Babylon Bee article as well.
Oh!
But
I thought that sounded like Finland or something.
But it is so close to being true. That is the problem. That's funny. So, and by the way, guys, we'll post these links in the comments so you can kind of check these things out. If you're not on Babylon Bee or The Onion or whatever, you're missing out. I'm just saying. Because they got a lot of funny stuff on that particular part. All right.
Well, I've seen over the last month or two, I've seen a couple of Babylon Bee headlines turn into actual news later. Yes, that's not even a joke. That's actually happened a couple times.
Funny.
They try to make up funny, and the left just outdoes them and says, "Ha, you wanted to make it funny. We're going to make it real."
It's self-fulfilling prophecies is what it is. All right, next up. Woman claims to be her own daughter to try to evade arrest, says the police, and it didn't work.
A woman did that?
Woman claims to be her own daughter to try to evade arrest.
I know a drug lord did that just recently. His daughter came in to visit him. He dressed up like his daughter, his 14-year-old daughter, and tried to get out of prison and got caught. But I haven't heard of a woman doing it. But since it happened in real life with a drug lord, let
let me read you the little part of the story. Utah woman ruined her chances of being named Mother of the Year after she allegedly pretended to be her daughter in an attempt to avoid being arrested. After the police noticed that she did not have a license plate on her car.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously, you've already let me know, but I was going to guess true anyways because of the drug lord version.
But the picture. But
Woo.
so I don't know. This is Heather Garcia allegedly claimed to be her own daughter when police pulled her over. But I didn't know that I didn't know you could get arrested for not having a license plate. That seems like a really weird arrestable thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. So that seems kind of odd. All right, let's see here. A couple of these things will be pretty obvious. But so the New York Times admits giant banner honoring Mao may have been inappropriate.
That's fake. Barely fake.
Barely. New York, in honor of the anniversary of Chairman Mao Zedong. It's probably not pronounced that way, but I'm going to say Zedong's death. New York Times. Mao Zedong. The New York Times unfurled a giant 50-foot wide banner honoring the brave revolutionary outside of its New York office this Monday. And there you go. But that's Babylon Bee. Again, we'll pull a lot of stuff from that. So you're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good so far. And last one that we have for this particular week or this particular session of news or views. Maybe that's what I should have you be saying. Is it news or is it for views? News being the real stuff.
Views.
For news or for views.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
that's what you can do. It's like I listen to ESPN radio from time to time, and they have a Love It or Shove It segment, and they've got a few other things. So news or views. All right, archaeologists. Pre-Inca child sacrifice site was actually a Planned Parenthood.
Okay, I lost a couple of words there. Try it again.
Archaeologists. A pre-Inca child sacrifice site was actually a Planned Parenthood.
God, I remember reading something about sociologists and human sacrifice just a couple days ago. I'm trying to think if this was it. I'm going to go with news on this.
And there you go.
Oh, actually, a Planned Parenthood. No, okay. I thought he was saying that's how they planned Parenthood. Okay.
That's how they planned Parenthood. Well, maybe that's the truth. Maybe that's the truth too. So that's it. As much as what it is, honestly, we tried to go over to Drudge and pull off a couple things, but I mean, I just didn't have much to work with here. To be honest with you, I just didn't have much to work with. Whenever we were
Drudge has been fairly bland now for about a year and a half. Yep,
we were trying to go through, and says Beto goes on a gun rant. Worm still dodging the path. But there's been some interesting things. I can't remember where the other ones that we were finding, but anyhow, so that's the one segment. That's the new segment that we've been trying to roll with. That we will we'll continue having some fun with. Oh, we do have a comment in this. Kyle Federoff, come on, Tommy. I don't know.
I was having some technical difficulties. I didn't hear him say it was a Planned Parenthood. Yes, I would have known.
Listen, for the local crowd out there, I don't know if you see this. I will pull this up because Tom, you will get a treat out of this a little bit. It's I gotta go pull it up here on Facebook real quick. So if we would have a lot more fun if we could ever get the guys out at their Larry County page out of their anonymous ways. Like if I was the owner of Larry County, I would be bringing people in. Like I would be like, yes, that's me.
Hey,
but they won't.
Listen, maybe we can message them and ask them to come on anonymous. They could put on a Guy Fawkes mask or something.
That would be funny. But here's something I do want to show you because Sugar and Spice. I don't know if you know Heidi or not. Do you know Heidi? Heidi. I cannot remember Heidi's last name. Heidi.
Fleiss? Heidi Fleiss?
No, no, it's not. No, it's not Heidi Fleiss. Although I'm sure that she would. I'm sure that she would take that as a compliment. She always does. I cannot remember what Heidi's name is. Man. I cannot. For the life of me. I know what her dad's name is. I know everything. Anyway, she owns a Spice of Life catering and bakery in Coal Grove. And this is something that she came up with. Let me turn off our news and views since we're out of that section a little bit. Since we're having just a little bit of fun until we get back into the seriousness of what we're doing. It's the official Larry County cupcake.
Mountain Dew and Doritos?
Mountain Dew, Doritos, and a candy cigarette.
Oh my God.
And guess what? So I had a friend of mine that was supposed to be stopping in. She had a doctor's appointment. She was going to she's going to pick some of them up. And by 9:00, by 9:30, it wasn't very long. They were completely sold out. Completely sold out. So just to give you an
idea. Did Larry County put it up too?
Oh, that's what they put. Yeah, they posted it. They posted it. That's in the words of Dave Lucas, like and share. I won't tell you who taught him that trick. As far as doing that, it was me, but I won't tell you who did it. If you want to find out how, you know what, I won't go there. So let me get back over here and we'll kind of get back in discussion. That was some of our kind of off the cuff time that we wanted to take and kind of enjoy a little bit. I'd like to bring some more stuff into that as well, but obviously the main thing that we're trying to get through and having a little bit of fun with it is that people who conservatives or people who are liberty minded do not like. I think we get the same reputation that Christians get. And most of us are conservative Christians anyway. So, but it's like we don't have to be sticking to the mud, people. You know, we can still have a little bit. We can still have fun what we do. We just need to not always keep our mouth shut about things as much.
No, because here's the thing that we need to understand. As long as we aren't trying to make them live our way, we are being consistent. I want liberty to live my life to the maximum amount of liberty that I can get, which is what the founders tried to find that balance, what they attempted to create. I don't want to take somebody. Now, this is where I think the right kind of messed up in the past. In the 80s, for instance, we had the moral majority. Now, abortion does not fall under this concept because abortion, you are taking the life of another. But yes. Outside of abortion, if you want to kill yourself on drugs, kill yourself on drugs. I mean, I'd like to be there to help if you choose not to. And same with alcoholism or any other kind of self-destructive behavior that you want help with. I'm not just for saying people die, but I'm not for us fighting them like we do to stop it either.
Yep.
I want them to be able to live life the way they want. So here's what I'm trying to get to. If you want to live in a socialist society where the rich guy down the you know, everybody shares and all this, excuse me, under liberty, you can do so. You can go to a commune and live communally. You can live a socialist style. What I will not allow you to do with my consent is to take from somebody more successful that has not broken any laws just because they have it. So under my system, they get to live their way. They just don't get to tell me how to live my way. So conservatives, we need to start screaming for our own liberty. It's about our own liberty. You're not trying to tell anyone else how to live. You're just telling them that they can't tell you how to live and they can't take your property. So when they want more taxes, that's the infringement of the pursuit of happiness. The founders meant the pursuing of your life's goals. Whatever it is that makes you happy, pursue that. Well, most of us, that involves money in one way, shape, or another. We either need it so we can spend it on what we want to do, or we want it for security, for happiness, or whatever version we want. In America and in modern society, pursuing happiness somehow requires property and money, because your money is your property, and what you do with it becomes your property. You know, you have intellectual property, you have earned property that they tax now, like real estate tax, property tax. I mean, So those things they're infringing on your pursuit of happiness and your liberties. So if you can't own private property without the government getting a piece of it every time you acquire something, they've infringed on the most basic rights. So what we need conservatives to stand up and do is talk from our own perspectives. I want my individual liberty. I've upheld my individual responsibilities, as in I'm not a tax cheat, I'm not a lawbreaker, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm doing my part, you guys need to do your part, which is secure my liberty. That is what in the Declaration of Independence it says. That's the reason governments are instituted among men, is to secure these rights. And before that, it mentioned life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and all the other unenumerated lists, which some of the founders said were innumerable. There's so many rights we have; they're innumerable. We only talked about the ones most likely to have infringements by the government.
Which is true. I do. We were looking through talking about that part of it. We were looking through some videos last night. We had a tweet that had come through from Representative Jim Jordan, which is an Ohio representative that covers Lima and basically the Northwest. It's up in the Northwest section of Ohio, and he is on the House Judiciary Committee, which is basically the Rules Committee. Like, they're the ones who are tasked with protecting constitutional rights. They're the actual people who need to make sure that when bills come into place or whatever, that they're not infringing on the Constitution. Am I correct by that? That's my.
I believe so. Yeah, obviously I believe you're correct. That they sort of are the Senate's version and the House's version of Supreme Court. They look at the bill and vote on. Well, wait a minute, we can't allow this to go to the floor because it's unconstitutional. And then within the committee, they vote, and it either goes or it doesn't. I believe that's one of their functions. Yep. However, it's definitely not anything I have an expertise in.
Well, I'm thinking that's the case. But anyhow, whenever the Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee within the last 48 hours, and he posted this 11 hours ago, but they first voted to take away Americans' firearms. So they've started the process of putting bills out there in the House, at least for that part of it. And then they voted to impeach the guy we elected president all in 48 hours. And you wonder why people can't stand this town.
Town as in Washington, D.C., right?
And town as in Washington, D.C. So, people, you need to wake up and smell the roses here, that this is not if these things are going to happen, and if you will have to stand up and preserve the freedoms that you want and the freedoms that right. that you have now. Right. It's coming, and
we've got the House proposing today. We've got a Republican Senate, so it could be stopped there. But here's the problem: we've got about 7 or 8 linguini-spined Republicans, or flat out corrupt, however you want to look at it, or maybe
yep.
both. You got your Susan Collins, your Olympia Snow. You got Mitch McConnell, based on whichever day you deal with him and what you're putting in his pocket, I guess is how he votes, right?
Yep.
He said he will compromise with some additional gun control measures. So he's already signaled that he's behind some of it, and the president as well. So just like I say all the time, I will applaud Trump, and I will tell everybody around me how great he's doing when he's doing great, and I will criticize him loudly when he doesn't. He listens to us more than any president in my adult life that I've been paying attention to politics. Clinton didn't, even when the Democrat Congress was against him, even when the attitude of the American people were against him, he still sent me to Haiti and a bunch of people like me. Nobody was for it, but he did it anyways.
Yep.
He didn't listen necessarily to the people. Bush, who knows what he listened to or didn't, because whatever we were saying, he seemed to do the opposite half the time. So, and then, of course, Obama, I guess he just did his agenda. I don't know if he listened to anybody. But Trump several times has said something like, well, let's take guns first and due process later. And the conservative, side of the world screamed, and said, "Oh, that's about as anti-liberty as you can get," and he backed right out of it. So he will listen, but you've got to say it. Being a cheerleader and simply saying, "Well, I trust President Trump's playing 4D chess, or he's got some strategy because he's really mega smart." Okay, great. Here's the deal. Oh, you're on mute. I don't know what happened there. You hit a button. Okay, but here's the thing. If he already has an awesome plan, and you come out and let him know, "Hey, I'm not for what you said you're going to do," it's not going to hurt him because he's still going to go the other direction as you predict he will.
Yep.
However, if he says something screwball, anti-liberty, and you sit there just trusting him as if he's your idol, and he doesn't hear your voice, he may not be playing some awesome strategy, and we may end up with an infringement we can't get rid of.
That's, again, those are the things that right now that are concerning me the most whenever you're stopping and you're watching about this, because it's not just happening, it's happening very, very quickly, whenever we're talking about things, which is why we decided to put the show together anyway, to begin with, was so that we could let people know about things and get their brains actually thinking, because we need people that are, at least somewhat educated and informed on what's happening and what's going on. And most people, as well as I do, say, well, we don't get into politics. We don't get into all that stuff. And I had to feel a little bit of pity for those people, because it's like, well, you're going to be the first people to complain when you can't do what you want to do.
Well, I seen a meme today, right? And I forgot what movie it's from, but it shows a famous actor, and he's got a noose around his neck, and he's grinning real big, and it's got like one of those fake conversations as part of the meme, and it says, this guy's saying to the vapors are saying, "Oh no, you can't infringe on my rights like that," and this guy's supposedly a gun guy, and he looks at him and goes, "Oh, first time, huh? Welcome to the game."
First time, huh?
I try to tell people all the time that say they're not involved. I'm not involved in politics. I don't really get into that. Well, guess what? You're in it.
Yeah, you're in it whether you like it or not.
You're in
So
it
the
whether
question
you
is,
like
you're
it or
going to be
not.
told what to do, or are you going to take ownership?
Without being too overly dramatic here, just about any average American of middle age can look at history and stuff that your average person knows and say, okay, do you think the Chinese were into the Mao thing? Your average guy out there farming his cucumbers or whatever, do you think your average Jew that was in Berlin in 1935, would all of them into politics? Probably not. But guess what? They were in it. Politics comes from the word the polity. The polity is the people. You're into politics. Two humans dealing with each other is political by its basic definition.
Yep.
That's why they have
that's why they have office politics.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's a little more obvious in your office because this guy's got an agenda and he's working for a raise and he wants his position. He wants the position that you want. So there's politics. But just in a marriage between a kid and the parent, it's part of being human is we try to get what we want. Now, we don't consider that a bad thing unless somebody is willing to do evil things to get what they want, or lie, or manipulate in an unseemly way. But we're all involved in politics. When we say, "Oh, I don't get into politics," well, guess what? Politics is into you. If they put our former, she's passed away now, but our former national poet laureate of the United States was Maya Angelou. And she's extremely liberal, but she wrote one poem, and there's this one quote from it I remember, and she said, "You never feel the chains until you pull on them." Well,
Yes.
your average person, you can also think about your liberties as a fence, right? We're in this fence, and we're supposed to be fenced off for our own safety. The federal government is outside the fence, it's doing no idea. Well, imagine you've got 100 square miles is your freedom. You can run around anywhere you want. And since 1781, they've just slowly creeped the fence in to where now you got the size of your backyard. Well, as long as you're happy playing in your backyard, you don't realize you're losing ground. And your average American, and they see the other guy's fence being encroached on and go, "Ooh, I'm glad that ain't happening to me. I'll just keep quiet so they don't notice me."
Yep.
But guess what? It's coming for you. It was coming. It's coming for the Second Amendment advocates, the right to keep and bear arms advocates. Now it's coming for the vapors.
And
in recent news, keeping things current here.
And the thing is that we're just using that as an example. What's coming next? There's always going to be the next. There's always going to be the thing that is the next step into government regulation or trying to take things away to where, listen, from a comparative standpoint, if you just look at it from cigarettes versus vaping, there's no comparison. There's no comparison between it's going to kill a lot less people. Whatever you're having, even if it was just vaping.
If it killed 10 a day, it would be minuscule compared to cigarettes.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't. And it doesn't now. Does it give you popcorn lung, or does it give you other things and other problems to deal with? Well, that's the thing. But does popcorn lung kill you? And it's the thing is, but the kicker is that if that's what you decide to do, then that's what you decide to do. But that's also the reason why we don't apply universal health care overall, because listen, sometimes you made decisions. You didn't have to smoke. You didn't have to do certain things. And that's the reason why it's like, so when you talk about pre-existing conditions, you can't universally apply that. And I think, me personally, I think that whenever you start to look at all these things that they try to get rid of, eventually that's what it's going to be. Here's what you can eat. Here's what you can do. This is the things this is what you're allowed to do because we're paying for your health care. And and it's mandatory that we're doing this. And that's where we're trying to go.
We got presidential candidates already advocating for controlling our diet openly.
We haven't got a chance to go through and see anything yet. I'll do a quick hit on Drudge to see if we find anything that anybody has said. Candidates laugh at Yang's free cash contest. I don't know what that means. Debate gets personal as candidates go for the jugular. Ooh, that'd be fun if there's some fist fights going on, right? That's what they should do as well. Like as an American, as an American, I want an alpha personality for a president. I want an alpha because that's they're the leader of the free world. They need to not take crap off of anybody, right?
Absolutely.
I think that people should have to prove that they're an alpha personality. I think that's in some way, shape, or form. I'm not for sure how you can do that. Maybe you need a roast.
What that means?
What?
I don't even know what that would mean in reality.
Well, if it's somebody that I think the alpha personality or the guy at the top needs to be able to always come from a position of power. Obama was very apologetic for a lot of things. And I'm sure there's other people that's been very similar things as well. And maybe it's just because the disparity or the contrast between Obama and Trump. But Trump seems to get his way a lot of the times. And it's because he's not afraid to do what he needs to do in order to get.
I honestly think it's a lot that if you watch House of Cards, the first season and a half of House of Cards, when that was new, there were so many Washington insiders said that's exactly how it works. So I've watched that first two seasons probably 4 times, and the amount of machinations they do, Machiavellian tactics, one with the other, is how it works. Everything is staged, everything is pre-planned, or at least they believe it is. So here's the reason I'm saying all that. I don't think Trump even knows that game. I don't even think he has a clue about how that works. So I think he messes their game up, right? It's like if you took 1950s NBA, right? Or let's say 1949 NBA, where it's all a bunch of regular-sized white dudes, and all of a sudden you threw in a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1948, he would mess the whole game up in terms of how they wanted to play it. So I think Trump succeeds simply because they can't calculate for him. They can't figure out what the heck he's going to do next. So I think they have to follow in a lot of ways, in ways they didn't follow, say, W, or the Republicans didn't follow Obama. I think both sides have to play along with Trump to some degree, because it's like, what's he going to do next? They can't calculate it because he doesn't play by the same rules, which is the biggest reason they hate him. He just messes up the game for both sides.
But I think what has happened with that part of it is that, and I can't remember who I heard the exact phraseology that they use, but there's the conventional wisdom side of what it is that you do, and you have a Washington D.C. conventional wisdom, and then you've got a Trump conventional wisdom, which is unconventional as all get out, and that's why they can't reconcile the two. I think more so.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
And he has popular support behind him, so they kind of got to play along until they can see an angle that they understand and know how to play against him. And whenever these big topics come out of nowhere, like hurricanes or natural disasters, and these things come out like these mass killings, they know they can get a reaction out of him, and they know his natural inclination is a little bit on the left when it comes to issues of control.
I'm sorry.
I don't know who gets in his ear on Second Amendment issues. Yeah. From what I understand, Melania and Ivanka both are anti-gun, and Eric and Junior are both very pro-gun. But I don't know who gets in his ear and who doesn't. And he's probably, like any man, trying to keep peace at home. He's a human too. And so that's another, going back to our theme for the night, you've got to use your voice. If you're not like me or you, and you don't want to put your face out anywhere, you don't want to get on every government list there is, like I probably am, you don't want to play that kind of game, fine. Share what we do. Create a Facebook account that doesn't have you in it and share this something. You got to use your voice somehow. And it's easier to use your voice now than it's ever been in human history.
Oh, that's interesting. Here, Beto O'Rourke is not mincing his words on gun control. I'll go ahead and show you this here since we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to take your AR-15 and your AK-47 straight up. Like, we're not dancing around it at all.
And, I can tell you from experience in the gun world, not that I'm okay with it, don't get me wrong, but if they define those things specifically, the more specific they define them, the more the firearms industry will just change the definitions. Like California, there is a stock that goes on AR-15s that make them legal, and it makes them look like something out of a Space Wars movie of some sort. When I first saw a California AR-15, I was like, what the heck is that? What good is that stock? And they're like, well, it kind of looks like a girl's bicycle, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, but it just looks weird. Well, just like everything, right? No matter what you do, look through history, no matter what you do, people find loopholes and find ways around government regulation. That doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean, well, hey, they can say whatever they want, I'll just find a way around it. No, that's not okay. Yep. A citizen of the United States of America should not have to think that way.
Should not have to think that way. You're correct.
Should not have to think that way. Right. However, they will. I mean, I'm just telling you. Mm-hmm. Now, if they define them broadly, like any semi-automatic, which some of them are proposing, now that's a very specific definition that we can't really I don't see a way around. I mean, I'm sure, we joke in the gun shop all the time. We said that we would make a semi-automatic. Instead of one round for every trigger pull, you pull it twice and get one round. So that would be a semi-automatic.
One to fire, one to load.
Bang, 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 bang.
Hey, better than having to bolt action that thing, right? That's basically it's bolt just action. Right. It's a shortcut. It's a bolt action shortcut. It's a bolt action SC. Is what you would call it. I was like, that's a bolt action SC. That's what.
Yes, I had a guy show up to some classes with a gun that I knew wasn't going to work well, so I teased him about it. Right, he was a young guy. He took it well, and he had this old 1911 that he loved, and it had this giant barrel on it, and I forgot what brand it was, but it wasn't a very good brand either. Anyways, every shot he took jammed. He would get a shot and a jam, a shot and a jam. So I called it a bolt action pistol. I called it a bolt action 1911 because he had to mess with it in between every shot.
A bolt action.
I'm not exaggerating. It was in between every shot. Yeah.
That is funny. That is really funny. Well, I'll ask you one other question, but while we tune off here, because one other thing that I saw in one of these debates is that, and I heard this in the healthcare debate and some of the other things, and really on a lot of issues, but this one with healthcare specifically is like, okay, well, this person's healthcare plan would leave 10 million people without health coverage, or this person would leave whatever. Is it just me? Or making decisions based on the fringe less than, 3% of the population is a bad idea? It's like
oh my God! Yes. I mean, that's the way the left. That's the way the left operates. They find the anomaly and then try to make the rule for the anomaly. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen. I've made this my illustration for this kind of thing for many years now. The United States government, we learned this at the end of the Bush era, not Obama, at the end of the Bush era, when he bailed out all those banks and corporations and so forth, how much money they spent. If you looked at that money, that was enough money, and this is going to depress some people, that was enough money to pay off every mortgage in the United States. Now, he could have helped bail out some banks and simultaneously help the average American all in one swoop. But no, what did they think? They just went and gave it to corporations and banks. But that's not the point. The point is this. They had enough money, we've watched them spend it, to literally hand every human in America, even illegals, $1 million. Think about that for a second. Now, forget the economic problem, as in $1 million would mean nothing all of a sudden, right? Supply and demand. Let's just say they could make us all $1 million tomorrow. Yep. They could send us a check and we'd all have $1 million in our bank Monday. Now imagine that for a second. By Friday, some dumbass would be broke.
No, I for some reason I just heard like jingling change in a pocket.
Oh, my dog shook in his collar.
So they'd have pocket change left. That's funny. No, that's right. Have you ever seen Brewster's Millions? Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that movie? If you haven't,
that's an 80s movie, isn't it?
It is an 80s movie. Worthwhile. Guy gives an inheritance. He's got to spend $1 million a day without giving it away. He just has to, in order to earn the rest of it. You got to do it for like a week or 2 weeks.
I don't think I have seen that. I might have to check it out. But my point is this: back to the healthcare thing.
Yep.
We could fix healthcare tomorrow. I mean, in our imagination. Okay, let's say we fix it tomorrow. Everybody's covered. Something would be wrong at the end of the month.
Yeah.
There is no perfection in involving humans. It can't be done. The best way to fix the healthcare industry in terms of insurance and in terms of service, delivery of healthcare, is to take government completely out of it, except for their main function. Their main function is the safety of the American people. So if they would simply do the oversight to make sure we're not being ripped off or told lies, I'm okay with that kind of intervention because that's their job. But getting the more money, the two industries whose main problem right now is too much money is the healthcare industry, and I include health insurance in that. The healthcare industry, too much money, and higher education.
Yep.
And it's the same problem with both. If I'm your average doctor in 1970 and I'm charging normal prices in an average county like Lawrence County, Ohio, and all of a sudden this Medicaid thing pops in, and all of a sudden everyone around me's got Medicaid, and what I used to charge $50 for a visit, now I can charge $180 because the government will pay it. Guess what my new cost is for a visit? $180. Right.
Well, that's the same thing insurance does. That's the same thing insurance does as well. We got insurance, so we make a trip to the emergency room. So now people overuse it too.
Right. So the basic principle is the government throwing money at it throws off the entire natural functioning of supply and demand.
Yep. I agree with that.
So all they need to do is slowly withdraw from it. Now, The progressive mindset will have none of that. Forget that. They're not
Oh
going to
no,
withdraw
like,
any
oh no,
control.
no, no, no. You can't have, we
Right.
can't have cheaper health care. No way. We can't have cheaper health care. Well, we'll dig into that maybe as we get going. Maybe we'll put a couple of these plans and we'll talk to some people. We'll get some people on that are smarter about this stuff than we are, maybe a little bit. Maybe we can create some plans that, because I think that sometimes we can talk in context of what we need to do liberty wise and that kind of thing. But sometimes people need a plan to be able to see it. They need to be able to see whatever it is. What does the fix look like? And it's like, if these people aren't doing this, then they're not trying to fix it. They're not trying to fix things. They're not trying to make a more liberty-based or more of a freedom-based. They're looking to take things away.
Listen, it's most people that listen to us would be able to understand, and even a newbie that didn't understand this could listen to what I'm about to say and think of times in their life this is true. Even myself, right?
Yep.
It's a natural human inclination to want to gather control. We all want to control our environment, our life, our circumstances, the people around us, in the sense of we want them to do what we believe is best if we love them, or if we don't really care about them, maybe we're manipulative and we just want to use them to get what we want. But we seek control.
Yep.
So when you get to positions of government, you're not going to find somebody sitting at a desk in government who justifies their job by controlling a certain segment of our society. Say, you know what? I shouldn't be controlling this. I'm going to go tell Congress I should get rid of my job. Right? I mean, that's a basic. But nobody in government is for giving up control. Not even conservatives. I hate to say it. Very, very few. Very few. Because then they have no power. None. If the FDA said, you know what, all we should be doing is making sure this is safe and nobody's being frauded, taking fake drugs or anything, they're not going to do that. All their power and influence goes away like that. Money and control, I'd have to say it's not even money. Everyone wants to assume money is the issue. Oh, well, they want more money. Well, why do they want more money? They want more money because it gives them a different kind of control in life, either through their own personal enrichment or just their own ego, or that natural human inclination to seek power. And power is just another way of saying control.
Well, money, you buy power. That's how you buy power. With money.
Right. Or even if you're not into power for power's sake, it gives me the power to buy a giant yacht and go sail the world. It's still a form of control and power, always.
Choices. That's actually what it is. Money is choices.
Yeah. It comes down to who decides. If I'm a billionaire, guess what? Almost all of my decisions are mine. Very few people have. Well, look at Epstein. How long was he able to get by with some of the most deplorable behavior humans engage in? Right? He could do that because of who he was. Let some dude that's on welfare try to do what Epstein did without the jets and the islands.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, money is power.
Yep.
And it's the same in our government. The more money we give them, the more power they exercise, which is why I'm for fair tax or a flat tax, as long as we get rid of the income tax as part of it, because it allows us the choice. Do I want to buy that Snickers and pay 17% sales tax on it and give to the government? Or if I'm a guy that likes to hoard my money, guess what? I ain't paying anything on it. It's my choice.
Yep.
If I want to buy the more expensive car, I pay a higher sales tax. If I pay a cheaper car, I'm paying less sales tax. It's my decision. I know the government has to have some form of income. Don't get me wrong. So that's why I'm saying I'm for that kind, because it's still the choices we make. I don't have a choice. If I want a job, I have to pay.
Yep.
If I became a millionaire, they're still going to find ways to get my money, even if I sit at home and try my best not to spend my million. They still find a way to get it. I have no decision-making process. There is no liberty in that.
Yep.
So, I mean, power. It's all about power, control, however you want to define it. Different words click with different people. Like I said, to judge liberty, ask yourself, who decides? If I get the decision, that's liberty. If someone else makes it for me, it's not liberty.
And I think that's a good thing to end on tonight. So if you can take away anything, that's your one thing that you can think about. And that's the one principle you can say. Is this liberty? Am I making a decision or is somebody else making it for me? Right. Super easy, right? Super easy. Well,
Yes,
guys,
sir.
thanks for coming on, hanging out. We still got a couple people on. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me and Tom tonight. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. We're live now on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always check in with those before we get out. You can smash the like button, share button, or
Please
you can
hit the like.
subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we're on live. We're usually on Thursday nights, sometime around 9 o'clock or so. We don't kind of hold ourselves to it. Unfortunately, we're not syndicated yet. When we get syndicated, they're going to lock us into a time. But for right now, that's kind of
right.
what
That's
we're
right.
But guys, we will talk to you guys next time on the 4 Boxes of Liberty. We'll take you out, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.